Hello, hello, hello. I'm very late. Yes, I know. I'm very, very late. And the reason I'm late is because I was making a video to summarize a bit of what I did the last stream. Hello, people. Yeah, one of the reason I was late, well, the reason why I am late is that I was doing, I recorded, hello, I recorded a video to summarize a bit of what we did the last time. And just some of the ideas, just to have, a bit of the concepts behind and what we want to do and things like that. So, um, I didn't publish it yet, but I will publish it soon. As soon as, let's say, as soon as YouTube is completing the elaboration of the video, and um, hello, Mihalo. Yeah, the game is already free to play. What do you mean? Yes, the game is already available. You go to planeshift.it and you can download it. At least you can download the previous version. And this is fully free and fully available. The new version will be also free and will be available to download as soon as we finish. As soon as we finish it, or as soon as we reach a good state of the art, which at the moment is still, still ongoing, but hopefully soon. Hopefully soon. A lot of the basics are there, so I'm waiting the completion of the generation of YouTube just to post the video on Patreon, but it seems that it's taking a bit of time, so I think we can start and we will. Okay, at least the low version, is done, which is nice. Okay, let me check 1 second if I can. Under uploads, yes, random generated events. Okay, let me see if I can get the URL. You are poor. Well, you are poor because you are young, but when you will be older, you will have more money. Don't worry. Don't worry about that. Don't worry. You will have money as soon as you start working and you start making money. So it's fine. It's fine. Okay. So the video is published on Patreon. So if you are a Patreon, which by the way is not very expensive because it's only the minimum to enter is $3 per month. So it's is very reasonable, I guess. So if you are a Patreon, you will see the video that I just posted. Let me just announce it in the supporters channel so that they know. I posted a new video on Patreon about random generated events. Okay. So let's start. Okay, so what I want to do today is to let me just close all the other pieces I have opened because they are not needed at the moment. These are all pictures that I used in the video, and we can close them because they are not needed. There is something that I took for Skyrim, for some voices I want to add, but I didn't have the time, unfortunately, so I didn't add the voices. By the way, I've seen that auto-generated is spelled wrong here. Huh? You didn't tell me. You didn't tell me. Is auto? Maybe you didn't see it like I didn't see it. Auto-generated. So we used the school of font. I don't know the size, but I think we used like 28, no more, 32, 32, 36, 36, probably 36. Okay, it was spelled wrong, by the way. It was spelled wrong from the beginning. Okay, so just to summarize what we did the last time, which was yesterday, by the way, we started to reason on auto-generated events, right, and how to create this new functionality. Now, I didn't yet speak too much with the other developers about it, so I don't know what will be their reaction, but hopefully it will be a good reaction, right? Let me just give them the video in our internal channel. Devs, I would say I posted a new Patreon video with some ideas on auto-generated events. You should watch it and let me know what you think. The link is private. The link is private, so don't repost it. Okay, just saying to them that they should not post that link around. So, what are we doing? So, hello, Tony. Good evening. So, what I would like to do tonight is to expand this case with a complex scenario, right? And see for the complex scenarios what we need in addition to the stuff that we already mentioned. And then actually I want to start to implement some of this stuff. Okay, so I want to start tonight, so I don't want to have only discussions, but I really want to start implementing some of this stuff. Come on, go down. Yes. So let's see where we end up. Let's see where we end up with the complex event. Okay. So we did the medium. For the medium, just to recap, I don't know if you were here yesterday, maybe not, but just to recap, we are working on an idea to have auto-generated random events in the game, which can be a bard showing up in a tavern, which can be a group of monsters to fight, which can be a merchant appearing on a road and they want to sell you something. So those can be kind of mini quests or mini events, so these are not supposed to be full quest, okay? These are like mini events that can give some variety to the world and give some resemblance of realism to the world, so the world will look more real, right? Because there is more stuff happening. I mean, the real world, if you go out of your house and you go on a road, on the road you find people walking, people speaking, whatever, people running, one with a bicycle, one with a motorcycle, two people that are meeting and hugging each other and such. Okay, so all that stuff you don't see in PlaneShift today because we don't have a system that allows us to generate these kind of random events on the fly, right? we have to script everything up front, and we are not gonna we are not scripting today. We are not scripting this kind of small events, right? Because we don't have an easy way to do it, and so basically, what I want to do, I want to have a system that makes it easy to create this kind of events and make it random enough but interesting enough. Okay. So let's try. So what we did yesterday was to think why we need it, what we want to have. So what is the vision? What are the types and the complexity of events that we want to run? Then we made some example, this minimum example, this medium example, and on these two we understood what are the things to do. So what I need to change in the engine to allow this to happen, right? And I would say is not dramatic, so is not a ton of stuff. So I think is doable. It requires some work for sure. It requires some motivation. It requires some endurance, I would say. But so we have to do this. But I think it will be very nice to have, right? And I still need to get some feedback maybe from the other developers. So in particular, I would like to have some feedback from Eonwind, from Tua, from Benland, I mean, from the people that are part of the development team, and they are participating in this thing since long, and so they have a very good point of view, and also they have a good understanding of the game and such. Sometimes even better than me, because some of them are actually playing the game, something that I don't do. So we did this. So we have this to-do list, these things to do, okay, to expand the system. And this is what we did for the minimum example, for the medium example, and now I would like to do it for the complex example. Okay, so let's do it for the complex example. Now we have to invent. No, we have to invent a complex example which is representative enough of what was it, 18 probably? Yeah, it looks like 18, this one. No, it looks like 16. 16? 16, okay. So we need to think to an event which is representative enough, but it should not be the most complex thing ever, okay? So it should be something that we can actually complete in a reasonable time. Do you have any idea, or should I just throw in some ideas? So we had this one, okay, this example here on the left. So a merchant and a customer on the road are debating a price, and the player needs to resolve the conflict. Okay, so that is the scenario, right? That is the scenario. Is it complex enough or not? Well, depends how he resolves the conflict, but potentially I think it's complex enough. I think it's potentially complex enough. Like maybe he needs to say something to them, or say something to or maybe bring them an item. So one thing that we missed today, for example, are quests or NPC interactions where you are interacting with more than one NPC, right? So at the moment we can interact with one NPC at a time, and the scene is basically you speaking with one NPC. I think that's a big difference. Huh? I think that's a big difference. Because because let's assume that you are killing one of the two, the other one should realize, the other one should know that that guy got killed, and maybe say something. So you see how easily we branch into new functionality, right? If we have a scene where there are multiple NPC. Because if there is one NPC only, is pretty easy. I think is the medium case, So I think yes, the medium case is basically working with one NPC only. Okay, so maybe this should specify it, but yes, maybe let's specify it. This involves one NPC only. Okay, so it's one NPC at a time, right? Which is making the medium fairly easy for me to complete, because it's something that we basically already have, right? I mean, not exact, but we basically already have. What happened here? Crap. My complex. This involves one NPC only. Okay. So let's try. I think it's enough. I think this one is enough. I'm thinking if I want something more complex than this, but I think it's enough, because we have two people that have to interact between them, and we will have some speech, some trading to be done, and the very complex part is how to relate one NPC to the other. That's the most complex part, I would say. How can one NPC know that another one received an item? That's very interesting. But I think we need to do this. Okay, let's try. I don't know if it's the right case or not, but I think it's a good enough case. What about having a bad NPC that try to rob you, as there isn't many guys in the game? Yeah, that's also a good case, because today NPC cannot rob you, right? So there is no functionality. We don't have a pickpocket functionality implemented. We did this by purpose, by the way, because I think it's a bit annoying if an NPC steals one of your precious weapons, right? And obviously then it doesn't give it back to you. So I mean, an NPC stealing from a player, I'm not sure that I want, unless it's money. If it's money, then I would say it's fine. If it's items, unless it's a previous item that he gave you, I think that would be a bit too tough, I think basically in no game you can have an NPC looting you. I mean, you can loot him, but he cannot loot you, because you can have a super rare item and he doesn't know, and he picks that one, and that item is lost forever, just for a random event. But you can just use warlock they threaten you. Ah, okay. So like an ambush, like an ambush. But okay, we can have the case. We can have the case of an ambush. So let's say some bandits, some bandits showing up and trying to attack you. But this one, I think, if there is not a lot of interaction, it goes back to the medium case. I'm thinking from the engine perspective, because to me those are aggressive NPC, so on-site fighting NPC, so that they basically attack you immediately. They can say something as well. Yes, they can say something. The difference would be probably the cinematic. The difference will be the bit of a cinematic that you may see these people saying something or charging you, or but I think that goes into the medium. So in the medium we can have one or two NPC spawning and just charging you because they are fighting whatever they see, right? Fighting whatever player they see around. And they can also say something. Let's say maybe the addition would be that they will have to say something. Now, if you say, but you can pay them to stop fighting, okay. That's definitely something that we don't have today. So you cannot stop an NPC that is trying to fight you by giving him money. Because in theory we can have an interrupt of all the current behaviors, but that behaviors have to be scripted with an interrupt that we don't have today. But it's a very interesting case. Stopping a fight. Today we cannot stop a fight. The only way you can stop a fight is by one of the two is dead. You know, that's the only way we can stop a fight. It's as simple as that. Okay, we can make our complex case including that, okay? Which will make it a bit more complex than I was thinking, but I think it's okay. We can do this. The complex case is a merchant and a customer, right? Which is this one basically, but I will add the fight in the middle, okay? So a merchant and a customer on the road, debating a price. Debating a price. If the player gets into the discussion, right? If the player gets into the discussion, the customer may start to threaten the player up to fighting him, right? To fighting him. Yeah, but this is a bit different though than the previous, because I mean I can start the fight or have another branch where you give him money before he starts the fight. What I don't have, and I don't know if it's too complex, is that he starts the fight and then somehow you calm him down. You know, that is something that I don't know if I can do and how I can do it. I think it's a bit too complex, and I don't think I want it now because it's too complex. It's beyond what I'm thinking at the moment. So I think that I think we can have if the player gets into the discussion, the customer may start to threaten the player up to fighting him, depending on what he says, right? Or the player can resolve the situation somehow by speaking, right? Or by bringing an item, or by, I don't know, by unlocking a chest. So let's do this. Imagine a customer on the road debating on the price of a locked chest. Okay. If the player gets into the discussion, the customer may start to threaten the player up to finding, or the player can resolve the situation by unlocking the chest and giving the item inside and giving the item inside. Okay. I think this is very complex for me. I mean, because it involves so many things that we don't have today. Okay, well, not so many, but quite a number of things that we don't have today. Quite a number of things. Okay, let's try with this case and see what happens. Okay, let's try with this. Let's try with this thing. So what I need more than the previous case. Well, first of all, I need the concept of two NPC interacting with each other. I think we need to make another slide, another page for this complex case, because it's too big. I need to add so much stuff. So we'll save this as random encounters, and we will create a new one. We'll do a save as random encounters number 2. Right? And complex. So there is number 2. Okay, number 2, we can delete everything and just keep our complex. That is the number 2. I can put it there. All the rest I can delete it. And yeah, because I need to think about it, and it's pretty big. On the number 1, though, if I let me open this one. I think I can leave it because I need it. This one I don't need it. So let's open this one here. Okay, so here I think that for complex we can just say C complex we went Arial 16 C random encounters 2.png. Okay, so for the complex, because otherwise it becomes too big, in one single thing. I cannot do it. So we can shorten this as well, and this will be all we did in this slide. Okay, so the first complex, or I would say very complex thing, is to have two NPC that are aware of each other. We can do it in a very, very, very simple way, okay, which looks like they are aware of each other, but in reality they are not, right? Which is pure timing. Okay, so I can have this guy. No. Wait. Let's start from before this. Because there is actually something before this, which is the player approaching. Okay, which is the player approaching. I think we want to generate the event. So player approaching, right? Player approaching. Let's say that these are my two NPCs. Usually I do the NPC like this, yes. So I have my two NPC here, right? And I have my player approaching. Now I think what we need to do, we need to have a sort of proximity, you know. We need to have a sort of proximity distance, which we can use to trigger certain events in the script. This will be very powerful. Because we could say, for example, that until the player is at 50 meters, maybe 50 meters is too much, I don't know, 20 meters, they're just yelling to each other, you know, but the actual action is not starting. So they're just yelling to each other forever. So if you stay at 20 meters for 1 hour, no, because then the situation, then it will disappear, okay, because we have a maximum time. There is a maximum time that is defined in the template, right, like we said. So but let's say if you stay there for the full duration maybe is 5 minutes, you will just see them yelling at each other from distance, and you will not see the resolution. Or we want the event to complete anyway. This is adding a completely new layer of complexity to this thing. If I make it like I'm thinking, this is adding a completely new layer of complexity, which is the distance. I mean, like a phased approach, you know. So I think it's too complex. I think it would make our life so hard. I mean, it would be so nice, you know. It would be very nice to have the possibility to script two different things. When the player is far away, they do something. When the player is in range, they do something else. When the player is close, the real action starts, you know. But I think it's too cinematic. I don't think I can do this. I mean, I think I can. I mean, obviously I can. Everything is possible, but I think it's too much of a mess. I mean, it would be nice, but I'm thinking about it, because basically it means that our script should be split in different triggers, right? And we should allow to have we already have the concept of player nearby, player adjacent, player sensed. So we already have different distances in the code and different perceptions in the code. I mean, we can try. We can try. The problem is I don't understand fully how we can load on the fly, because we already have the distance. You see, we already have this. Player adjacent, player nearby, player sensed. So we already have 3 distances. There is 4 meters, 4 meters, which is very, very close, 10 meters, 30 meters. That would be very nice, huh? That would be very, very, very nice. I will really like it. I don't know if I can do it, but yeah, I mean, everything is possible. Everything is possible. That would be very cool if we could do something like that. I don't know if the players will actually notice that, but they will make it so easy because you know what is the issue? The issue is that the player is here at 30 meters, the action starts, the player is looking in the other direction and is missing completely the point, you know? Is missing the event completely. So it's missing like the first 2 minutes of the discussion of these two guys, right? And so it's done, you know. And so then he comes close and he doesn't understand what he has to do, you know. So I think that the distance is allowing us to manage that, you know, to manage that. I think it would be very cool if we can do it. Okay, let's try to think openly, right? And let's try to think that we can do the three distances, okay? Which is 4 meters, 10 meters, and 30 meters. Which in our case will be something like, so assuming there is an NPC, 4 meters is something like that, right? 10 meters is about double of that. So let's say this is 4, roughly this is 10. Okay, I mean it's not perfect, but and 30 is and 30 is 3 times this thing. 1, 2, even more. 1, 2, and 3 roughly. Okay. The only problem is that I need this to be cut in half, otherwise it's too big. I think we can do just the, you know, just the external shape and will be more than enough. Obviously we'll count in any direction, but it's fine. So, fuck, I messed up because now I have this I cannot remove. Okay, we will do it somehow. We will do it somehow, some way. Anyway, this is the, I know it's not very nice, but it's okay. There is the 10 and this is the oh, fuck. $10, $20, no, from the middle, huh? 10, 20, 30, something like this. So this thing should be roughly here, okay? So it's not perfect, who cares? It's just for the discussion. So so we have, let's say that we have 3 distances, right? We have 3 distances for the player approaching. So we have 3 distances for the player approaching. Yes. So this is the player adjacent, whatever you say that in English. There is the player nearby, and the last one is the player sensed. Okay, obviously in this case we will cheat a bit because we don't need to we don't need to we don't need our NPC to actually see the guy. I wrote it wrong. Do we want the NPC to actually have vision view of the player, or we want to just calculate the distance and that's it? That's a very, very, very good question, because for like stealth, I mean, if you have to do something in stealth so that the NPC doesn't see you, obviously you want, so I think we need both. Unfortunately, we need both. I think that today we don't have a perception for long range perception. I have to look if these ones are firing also if the NPC doesn't see me. But no, I think that it fires only if the NPC sees me. So I think we need two perceptions. Fuck. I mean, we are continuously adding new stuff. So but okay, maybe we will not do the stealth one immediately. Because imagine that there is a freaking house here. There is a house, and the player is here, and then he's coming closer, but there is a house in the middle. So there is a problem, huh? There is a real problem. Well, we can generate the event if there is visual, if we can trace a beam of light between one and the other. If there is a space, visual, I don't know how to say in English, but anyway, if there is the possibility to see. So in this case, if the player is behind this house, the event will not generate. If the player is in front, then the event will generate. That could be one way. The other issue I have, if the place is small, right? So let's say that this is happening in a place which is relatively small, and the scene is starting with a sense at 30 meters, but but the player is already closer. That could be an issue. Or if the event starts and the player runs because he's on a mount, he's on a horse, and so he's running very, very quickly close to the scene, then we will have to skip the sense, and it will be directly. It's a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a mess. I think this idea of the tree, I mean, it is a great idea, but I think it's making things too complex. I think it's nice as a concept, but I'm really struggling to think then how to do it. Because there are so many possible cases. Again, the house in the middle, the player which is already here, or even the player that is already here, and our script is saying that something should happen. But maybe in that case, though, we trigger everything, we trigger the wall thing, we trigger the sense immediately, we trigger the nearby, we trigger the adjacent immediately. one after another without caring. Yeah, maybe we can do that. Maybe we can do that. So the only problem is if there is something in between, but we said if there is something in between, we trace a line. Okay, we trace a line between and see. Okay, so one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Let me create here a to-do list, okay? Things to do. So the first thing we need to do is to allow the scripting by distance. Okay? Scripting by distance using the three distances that we have, which are adjacent, nearby, and sensed. Okay, which are at the moment 4 meters, 10 meters, and 30 meters. Now, the problem is what exactly we allow. I mean, like there is a script inside of each of these distances. There is a script inside each of this. Yeah, there can be. I think there can be a script inside of each of these three. Yeah. Because that's the easiest that I can think of. So 3 sections of our script, one for sensed, one for nearby, one for adjacent, and you can leave one empty obviously in the script, right? If you don't need it, you will just do it on the shortest range, or you will do it on the middle range like nearby, right? I think they will be enough. So you will be allowed to say what happens when you are in sensed, in nearby, or in adjacent. Hello, Maui. Good evening. No, I'm smiling. I'm smiling because this thing is becoming so big, you have no idea. So I have to be careful of not making it impossible to make. Okay, so that's what I really need to do, is to avoid that this thing becomes impossible. I mean, not impossible, but let's say impossible with the resources that we have, right? With the time that we have and with the resources that we have. So I have to be very careful that I don't make it an impossible project, which will mean that at the end is like not making it, right? Like not making it. So let's say allow 3 sections in the script by distance. So we will allow to have these 3 sections in the script by distance. Okay, I think that's a good thing. Okay, that's a good thing. The only problem I have is the view. So if I need to have the NPC facing the player somehow and being visible on the player, or if we can put a fake NPC which is triggering that probably will be the best idea. If I have a kind of a detector, if I have like a detector NPC which is doing nothing else than checking the distance of the player from the scene, and then is telling the scene what to do, right? But it's like if it's a video camera, if it's a video camera, it's just checking what the player is doing. So I don't need my NPC to face the player. Yeah, I think we have to do it this way. That's the best way. Because so this guy, imagine that this guy is a thief, okay? And he's like lock picking something on the ground. Obviously, we will not see the player, but we need to know. The engine needs to know that the player is approaching, because this guy will start to do some stuff. So I think I need to have. Okay, I think I need to have before this. So we need to have a detector NPC, which is detecting, which knows the distance of the player from the main scene, let's call it, right? From the center of the scene. From the center of the scene. Let's say this is a kind of an additional layer that we don't have today, because again, an NPC can see you today and can say something to you if you are at 30 meters, 10 meters, or 40 meters. So we can have a guard of the city today, also in the old game, that can tell you something like, hey, how far you are? Hey, you are a bit closer. Hey, you are next to me. So this we can do already. So that, but he needs to see you. He needs to see you. Right? He needs to be looking at you. At least in the new way that we are doing in Unreal, because in the old world, actually in PS Legacy, actually not. So is really a circle around the NPC. While here is based on visibility, because Unreal has the concept of visibility. Now I don't have the editor open, but if I search Unreal Engine senses or sense, I don't remember what is the sense component site. There is kind of a cone in front of the face of the player, where you can say where he can see, right? Like this. So there is a kind of a cone where you can see where you can see. Now we can also say 360 degrees. We can decide that we don't care, and we allow 360 on the NPC. The problem I have with that is that if I do it like this, he fucks up then all the fights and all the other stuff. But let's say the detector NPC is solving a lot of problems, because he's like the manager of the scene, right? It's like so he knows if the player is approaching, and he's launching certain scripted actions. I think we need a detector anyway, because if I have to launch, imagine I have to launch a cinematic scene, okay? So the camera is going up, he's showing something, I need to launch some sound, I need to do something. I need to know at which distance is my player. Is there something already existing? Because I'm thinking that Unreal may have solved this problem already. Launch cinematic based on player position. Because maybe Triggering sequences, launch sequence, they call it sequence, based on player position. Triggering sequences. Illustrate how to trigger a sequence from an in-game event. Once you have created your cinematic sequence, you may want to have it called and played during the gameplay as part of a cutscene. For example, maybe the player walks into a room and you want to have the camera zoom in into an object. Or perhaps you want to end the cinematic after the player kills an enemy. By getting a reference to the level sequence, you can use the blue and silver guide to tell the sequence to start playing. These are very simple cinematics. Okay. When the cinematic finish playing. We also allow the player to skip the cinematic while playing. Okay. That is fine. So box trigger, thank you, that's easy. I understand. So they just put a box, the way they do it, just put a box where you want the player to so if the player steps inside, so touches that box, then is triggering the sequence. Let me just check how they do it. On actor begin overlap, yeah. They do it on actor begin overlap with the box. With the box. Well, we can create two spheres and do the same. Huh? Hello, Gion. We can trigger, we can trigger also. I mean, we can create. In theory, we could create two invisible spheres. We can create three invisible spheres. Around the scene, and then trigger something when the player walks into that, right? Which will be, I think, pretty similar to the detector NPC. The only difference is that it's starting from objects instead of an NPC, but it's the same. It's basically the same thing. I think at the core, hello Marcelo, you were into the NPC GM? What do you mean? Detector. Yeah, detector, because it is a kind of a. I was thinking, how do we sense that the player is at a certain distance from our scene, right? And in this case, is not a distance from one NPC, but is a distance from a scene that is happening, right? An event, right? So the event could be the two guys that are starting to speak to each other, right? And they're complaining. One is complaining to the other, One is complaining to this guy, and the other is complaining to the other guy. And I mean, in a single-player game, this thing is super simple, or anyways, is way more simple, because you just know where the player is coming from, or anyway, you probably know, and so you trigger the thing when he's crossing a door, or when he's overlapping a trigger or whatever. So in our case, it's a bit more complex because we have the ability to generate this event randomly on the landscape, and the landscape can be anything, right? So again, it can be a house, it can be a house in the middle, or it can be a river in the middle. Yeah, that could be an issue. If there is an impassable river, then you will have the visibility, but you will not be able to go close to the scene. Fuck, that's the problem. Okay, so we need a walkable path. Well, I think I can check if there is a walkable path between the center of the scene and my player. with navigation, right? So if I take the 2 points and I ask the navigation system to resolve it, it will tell me if there is a path available or not, right? So that could be a way to solve the river or to solve the house in the middle. This thing start to become a science project, but okay. So let's try to make it a bit simpler, because now I think I'm going in a direction where I'm making the super mega system, and this is not gonna work. I mean, this is not something I can do in a reasonable time frame. So let's try to say that for now we add a detector NPC, which is here in the middle of the scene, which is an invisible NPC, which has these 3 ranges scripted with our reaction system. Now the only problem is that I don't know if he needs to have the visibility, but I think yes. I think he needs to, because it will be easier to use our scripting system in terms of reactions, right? Because we already have the possibility to react to these 3 distances. But I think at the moment it is vision, so they have to have a clear sight of the, and it is not a great idea. Well, we can have our NPC rotate. That's maybe a solution. No, we can set no, we can, why I'm saying this? We can set the site to be 360 degree in our detector NPC, okay? So I think it's fine. Don't worry. A detector NPC, we know the distance of the player from the center of the scene. So this guy has 360 degree vision, okay? We can configure this. We can configure this by NPC. And it is why it's a good idea to have a detector NPC, because we can script him as we want. We can change his properties as we want. Right? So he has a 360 degree vision. Fine. And then in the script we allow 3 sections: adjacent, nearby, and sensed. 4 meters, 10 meters, 30 meters. Okay. So this detector NPC will know if the player is within 30 meters. And I would say at that point it will start the first sequence of the event. Okay, so let's say that the first thing I want to do, I want to have a short cinematic scene. So I want the camera of the player to zoom, and again here we will have all the issue of a freaking tree. There is a big tree here, and our camera will fly into the tree. But okay, so that obviously is going to happen 100% of the cases. But assuming that there is clear vision somehow, right? And we need to be smart enough in doing that. I would like, for example, to have the camera from the player to go around the scene, right? So I want to have a short. Now I don't know how to do a cinematic. I think I need to move the camera around my detector NPC. Yeah, I think that would be the best. But the question is, do we want to do it? So I mean, do we really want to detach the camera and show something that the player actually should not be able to see from that distance? Well, at least not at that level of detail. Because we are breaking a bit the realism here, the role play thing, because you are basically zooming in. Do we want to do it or we don't want to do it? Maybe we don't want to do it. Maybe we don't want to do it. We don't want to have a cinematic from distance. No, I think we don't want to do it. Because I don't like zooming on something that I cannot see. I mean, that I can see from distance, but I don't want to zoom in. And why I should zoom in? No, I will not zoom in. I will not zoom in. I will not zoom in. But maybe I have it when the player is close. When the player is close, I think it's fine. There is no big trouble. There is no big trouble when the player is close. But if the player is very far, I don't want to do it. So okay, so let's say that the player is approaching. Okay, the player is approaching. Now, as soon as he crosses this border, my sensed script will trigger. Right? What I want to do. What do we need? We need sounds for sure. I think we need the same thing that we need also when we are closer. But so we need sounds. We need sounds with a specific volume, because if he's far, you know, do we care? Oh, but, okay, anyway, we want sounds with volume. So we need to be able to generate sounds when he's crossing one of those three things. We want animations, right? We want speech, meaning dialogues, meaning send. I mean, like if the NPC did a slash say something. Okay, so did a command to speak. So this will be like in the cinema, inside the cinematic. Okay. So, and we want to have camera movement. Now the question is, considering that Unreal Engine is already doing and providing all of that, should we really put it in a script? Or should we create, or we should just create a sequence? The problem is that I want to make it scriptable, you know? I want to make it scriptable. I don't want to use a sequence, because if I use an Unreal Engine sequence, which would be the easiest, you know, the problem is that the Unreal Engine sequence has to be created up front, is fixed, you know, it doesn't have, I don't know if you can accept parameters, but in our case, it can be anything. I think it's easier for me to trigger some animations on the NPC server side and some sounds. I mean, sounds, animations, dialogues is super easy. Camera movement, I don't know, but I think it should be also easy. Camera movement, by the way, for now we can also skip it. I mean, it's just a nice idea, but doesn't mean that I need to do it. Doesn't mean that I need to do it now, so I can avoid it. So basically, each script, you know, a script can contain what can a script contains a script may contain a cinematic, which basically is a sequence of stuff, right? With timing though, because it needs to have time. So I need to say I want to play a sound in I mean, at second 0, at time 0, I need to play this, then an animation at time 5, then a dialogue at time 10, and another dialogue at time 20, right? So So this should be with time. I don't know if we should express it in seconds. Yeah, I think we should express it in seconds. I think it's the easiest for everyone. Right? So example, okay? So example. At 0 seconds, play. At 0 seconds, play loud discussion sound. At 0 seconds, play animation yell. I don't know. Yeah, the problem is that we will need it on the specific NPC. Yeah. So we need to for example, animation. I mean, the sound is okay; it can come from the but also the sound. Also, the sound needs to come or from the detector, so which is basically the manager of all the scene, or it needs to come from the from one NPC. So let's say that we need to have a target for all of this. We need to have a target, right? So it will be at 0 seconds, play loud discussion sound from detector NPC, right? At 0 seconds, play animation yell from NPC 1. At 0 seconds, play animation shake fist from NPC 2, right? At 5 seconds, play voiceover, whatever it will be. Voiceover 1, 2, 3. The problem is that, okay, if we do the voiceover, then the randomization, the randomness starts to go lower, because it means that we have a specific lines. Yeah, but I think it's okay. I think we have no other way out of this. So if we want to do it nice enough, they have to be created. There can be some randomness, but like the item that they are discussing about is different. But the kind of exactly. So at 5 second place, like voiceover blah 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 from NPC 2, right? And then that's it. Maybe that's the only thing. Okay. Maybe there is no sensor distance. Let's say there is only nearby. Okay, so we will not use the sense in this case. So in the nearby, we will do this. Okay, and also you can imagine all the variations. You can say the animation can be die, so the guy will die, and you will have then to speak with the other guy and understand what happened, and things like that. I think this is not too complex. It's doable. Okay, this is kind of doable. If I place a detector NPC, which knows the distance, that I already know how to do it, and has a 360-degree vision, and is triggering, and this NPC is reading a script, and this script is saying, do this at 0 second from NPC, blah blah blah, do this, blah blah blah, this, blah blah. I think I know how to do it. It's not very easy. It needs to be, obviously, you need the XML, it needs whatever, but I think we can create a scripting system for this, which is easy enough to use. Okay, should our NPC move? Potentially, yes. The problem of moving is that we don't know what we have around, you know. That he can also move, but okay, move for now. We leave it. Move for now. Hey, but we need to have, because like if he's a guy that is running, you know, a guy that is running away, even if he's disappearing, even if he's disappearing after he runs, but still we need to. We need to. I mean, it's like for the other NPC. They can move to a location. The problem is finding the location, but we can have him wander around, and if he's an open area. I think the complexity of this is the scenario, so where we are. If we are next to a river, if we are inside a lake, if we are on top of a mountain, if I have them move, it start to be a mess, you know. If I have them move, it start to be a mess because the surrounding can be anything. The surrounding can be anything, and that's a real problem. Because the NPC can just not be able to move, or he can suicide, you know, he can jump down a cliff while he's trying to run away, so that's a real problem. If you want to do it smart, the movement is a problem. If you want to do it smart, if you want to do it smart, is a real mess. Let's put movement as a nice to have, okay? Yeah, but for example, movement we need already in our case number 1. You know, the cat crossing the road. We said that the simple case is a cat crossing the road, right? The problem is how does he know where the road is? I think movement is a mess. I mean, the pterosaur flying in the sky is easy because the sky is fully open, you know. So there are no obstacles of any kind. So I can, well, that's not true because we have the stalactites going down and the stalagmite going up, whatever. So we have actually, yeah, we may have some, but we can disable collision and fuck it, and it will just fly, you know. And I think we'll be okay. Or we will fly, or we will anyway make sectors for flying objects in areas that there is empty space. Yeah, roads have a specific material. Yeah, we could search for it, or we could design. But the problem of roads is a bit of a mess because roads. I was making the example the other day, you know, of the roads. I mean, if you have a road, oops. If you have a road that goes like this, and maybe in between there is even a freaking house, you know, in between. How do we define a sector for the road? I mean, we have to create a freaking million. I mean, this one is easy because it's like this, but you have to create another like this, another like this, another like that. I mean, it becomes impossible. Yeah, we can place a spline. Yeah, exactly. I mean, or you or you actually describe, you know, the world road manually somehow in the engine, and so then and so, but then it becomes another level, you know, becomes a completely another level of complexity, because it means that everywhere in the world where we want to have such an event, we need to have scripted the. But yes, we could, for example, if I want to have a caravan, you know, I want to have a caravan that is moving along a road. I have no way. I need to have a. I need to have a, yes, a spline or something that is going through the whole road. There is no chance. Or we can have sorry, we don't need a spline. We just need our path. We already have the system, which is our pathing system. So we just need to put the paths and say from walk from waypoint 22 to waypoint 25. So we already have it. No, I don't know. I think that all our system is working with. All our system is using waypoint system. I think we should use the same waypoint system. If we want to do something like that, I think we should be in the waypoint system, because our NPC are already capable of walking between waypoints today. They recognize the waypoints, they know what they are, they know how to search them. So if we create something new, I think is a mess. I mean, it's more work for me, you know, because I need to change the current system and start to work on splines, and I don't know. I mean, obviously the spline will be better because it's more round, you know, it's more the waypoint system is made of segments, but you know, we are not making Skyrim 6, you know. So we have to keep it real, otherwise we will never do. Otherwise we will never do it, you know. Otherwise we will never ever do it. You could draw lines between waypoints and find proximity to those paths. I mean, for what case? For the cat crossing the road? I mean, the cat crossing the road, I think I will have a cat walking on the road instead of crossing it. And so the cat will just use the waypoint system. And we just go from waypoint A to waypoint B, and that's it. So we will generate a cat that goes from any random waypoint of the main city to any other random waypoint of the city, and that's it, and it's done. And it already works, by the way. We just need this event generator, you know, to generate it. But across the road we don't have it at the moment, and I think we will live without for now. Okay, so movement. So the problem is for the cat moving in the city, I think is easy. The problem is for the cat moving outdoors, you know. But I think we can generate 2 points. You know, we can generate 2 points in a given area, and generate them so that they are walkable. Okay, so that from one point you can reach the other. I think I can do that with the navigation system. I can ask the navigation system, are these 2 points connected? You know, something you can walk on. Can you find a path between these 2 points? Right? I think is standard in the navigation system. I'm pretty sure. A real engine, find path between 2 points. I think there is even one single node that does it. So, but anyway, I don't want to search it now, but I'm 100% sure that there is. Okay, so there is, because it's what the engine is using to move anyway. So So I think I can ask him the question up front, you know. So if I have this point and this other point, can you move? So let's say that I can. So anybody. So maybe what we can add here for movement, maybe we can do this. We can. So for movement, we can do this. Let's try to reach a compromise, okay? Yeah, I can give you a long path, but who cares, you know? It still looks realistic. Let's say that you generate two NPC. One is fighting the other, then one runs away. Even if you generate a point that needs a bit of a left and right turns, I think it's okay. I don't think it's a problem. I think visually would be fine. Even if it's a long path, it's okay. It's the one that an NPC can walk on. So I think that is the best. So I think that for movement we can have specify two existing waypoints. No, two existing play waypoint will not work. It must be to random waypoint in a certain sector. Two existing, two random. No. Specify pick random waypoint in sector. I think we should have a function like this. Okay. We should have a function called pick random waypoint in sector and assign it to something. Okay, specify pick random waypoint in sector and assign to a kind of a variable. Right? And then ask NPC to move to that variable location. To that, yeah, right? So I think I can do that. But the problem is that will be one waypoint inside one random waypoint inside a sector, unless you really want to specify a specific one. But this seems to be a bit weird because if it's randomized. So for example, if we take the whole main city and I go into my waypoints, right? I already have waypoints all around the city made. Okay, this is just the dummy database, so there are only 3, but if I take the production, there are like 1 million. And they specify the sector ID. So we should ensure that the sector ID is properly set. Right? It's probably set to whatever we want. So in this case, to the city. So you will randomize 2 points in the city. One of the issues that may involve inside of buildings, but you know, it's your risk. This is what I can have as a compromise. Because if you do 2 fixed waypoint, then it will be no random at all, you know. So it's like scripting a standard quest. My idea is that it should be random enough. So one time it happens in one part of the city, another time it happens in another part of the city. And so I want to be able to pick a kind of random waypoint. Maybe if we want, we can add a new column, you know. We can add a new column, which is like just dedicated to events, which we are selecting certain waypoints to be valid only for events. That we could do. That we could do. If we want to make it smarter, you know, so that we don't end up like inside the guardhouse or inside the library, or you know, in places where we don't want to end up. That maybe we could do. So okay, so movement will be able to specify a random waypoint in a sector and assign to the variable, or ask NPC to move in the variable location, or find 2 points. No, find 1 target point which is reachable by walking. and assign it to a variable. Right? I don't know if it's clear what the hell I'm saying, but basically I'm saying that in the script you will be something like generate random point name exit, okay, and it will do it from the starting point, so it will be something you can navigate from the center of your scene, okay, and then you will be able to say move to point who npc1, right, where exit, something like that, okay. So it will basically randomly generate a point in an area. So let's say that if we go back to our example, right, let's say that our sector, let's say the big one, which is more meaningful maybe, this big sector, okay, this big sector is all the wilderness next to the city. So we will ask, hey, can you please generate a random point here? Yes, and name it exit. Generate another one that is named whatever, and then have the NPC move from here to here, screaming something, screaming, hey, I'm running away, fuck you everyone, right? So something like that. What I'm thinking is something like that. So one time can be this, the other time can be this, the other time can be this, the other time can be this, in different places, and will be always different in the. So the players will not know where this guy is actually gonna go, right? And maybe sometimes it's a short path, sometimes a longer path, sometimes it's a path that requires some movement across hills or trees or bridges or whatever. The important point is a reachable path, right? Is a reachable path. Important point is the reachable path. Do you think this thing is useful or not? Because if I could avoid movement, it would be so much easier, so much freaking easier. I don't know, I have to think a bit about this, because I think this thing can generate maybe multiple points in one command, so that you are saying, please generate me 3 points inside the sector which are reachable, right? And okay, I will think about it a bit, but let's assume that we can do one or the other. So, or walk on existing waypoints, or generate new points where there are no waypoints, because like here in the wilderness we don't have any waypoints set, okay. I mean, there can be areas where we don't have, we just navigate through the navigation system, through the nav mesh, so the script may contain sounds, animation, dialogues, meaning dialogues means /say, okay, kind of commands for NPC, or any other commands. I mean, it can actually be any commands, but yeah, maybe it's easier if we do an execute command, But I think NPC cannot execute command today. They just have a subset of the, yeah, so it's animation and say. So it's animation and say. This is what they can do. And sounds. Okay, so let's say that we do this. So we are able at a certain distance, so when the player is entering one of these three one of these three parameters, one of these three distances, to trigger a script that is doing one of these things at a certain time. Now, if at second 0 the player kills the NPC, that's obviously a bit of a problem, you know, because then this voiceover and the movement, I don't know what we'll have. So the script needs to interrupt if the NPC is killed somehow. Okay. So I think that each line of the script need to check from the engine side if the NPC is still alive, because otherwise, I mean, you know. But it could be like a refinement later on. So then the player is next to the scene, and maybe you play something else, because when you are adjacent, you play something else. Okay, but I think the basic is this one. Okay, the basic is this kind of scripting capabilities. Okay. I think I want to move the sense there so we have more space, because this is not working. Okay, so even if it's not representing the right distance, who cares? So what's next? Well, next is that the player can interact with the two NPCs. So they finish this brief cinematic. Okay, maybe we can even make them invulnerable while they are doing the cinematic. You know, yeah, then maybe it could be a good idea. So we can have an invulnerable flag. So the script can have invulnerable, which we have already, by the way. Invulnerable tag. In the script at any time. Okay, so you can say again before everything, this NPC become invulnerable, and only when these 5 things are finished, you know, the NPC becomes vulnerable, for example. And this one we have already, because we already have the. I think we have it, right? I'm not sure. I think we have the invisible. The invisible we have because it's the one that we use to make them disappear, but I don't know if we have the invulnerable tag. Okay, then we need the player. Okay, so then the player goes next to them. They exit from invulnerable, so they are, and the player can speak with. Yes, the other tag maybe is the interaction tag. So if the NPC is busy or not, I think we have a busy thing, right? I think we have a busy. Do we have already a busy? Let me check in production, but I think we have a busy. Or I can maybe check in the documentation. If I search busy, I think I will find the behavior operation. Busy operation. Yeah, busy we have already. Make an NPC busy. I think this one is basically canceling any. Unfortunately, it doesn't explain what it does, but is not allowing any kind of interaction. Let me see if we have already the invulnerable ones. No, we have the invisible. We have the invisible, but we don't have the. But by the way, if you are wondering what our NPC can do today, they can do this. Okay, they can assess an opponent, they can build, they can go busy, they can cast a spell, they can change brain, okay. They can chase someone. Circle, I don't remember. They can equip something. They can emote. They can, yeah, emote will be our animation thing, because emote is actually the way to. They can transfer, teleport, build, visible. wait, they can wait, they can wander. So all of that we can already access, you know, in our scripting system is already done, right? It's already done. But we miss a few, like in vulnerable, for example, I think we miss. I will double, triple check before implementing it, but I think that we miss it, right? I think that we miss it. So the busy we have, but we can allow the busy tag, right? We can allow the busy tag. And what else? Then our player can finally speak or do something with these two guys. Okay. So he goes close and he can speak, or he can do something. Now the biggest problem I have is that I can have a short quest script inside the brain of each of the two, right? And that's easy. I mean, that's something we can reuse exactly, no? So the script may contain a quest script, and that's absolutely fine. The script will contain a quest script, so it will have all the capabilities of our quest system. So it means that the NPC can receive an item, can answer to that item, can speak, can do a riddle, a puzzle, whatever. So any of that. I don't understand why a monster like a trapper would be able to cast a spell. I don't know, with his mind. Maybe he's a psionic energy. I have no idea. No, I'm not an expert of trappers specifically, but do they cast a spell? I think some special monster cast spells, but I mean, casting spell doesn't mean that you need to have hands. You can cast spell with your mind or with your body, with your energy, with your inner energy. It doesn't have to be. Let me start some music. It doesn't have to be waving a spell, you know. It doesn't have to be the way you wave a spell. They can do it different. So let's keep on a quest script with all its capabilities, right? With all its capabilities. So the difference here is that I need to load that quest script on the fly, which is the complexity, right? Because at the moment the quest scripts are all loaded at the beginning. Even if we add a reload functionality on the quest, I don't know if it really worked well. But basically, yeah, one of the complexity here is that, for example, if for the dialogues I use the quest system, how do I randomize the item, right? So another thing to consider is the look of the NPC. This is something that I didn't consider up to now, but I think we need to. So the look of let's say the traits. The traits of the NPC. So I think inside the script I need to be able to randomize I need to be able to randomize the look of the NPC. Did we say that already? I think we didn't say that yet. I was kind of implicit, but I need to create the ability to randomize. So what we want to randomize? We want to randomize. So so the race we want to specify or randomize. But if we randomize, we want to at least split between or randomize within, let's say randomize within a set. So that you will go like, you know, race 1, 3, 20, you know, so it will randomize between those values, right? So you want to have him randomized in a set. So for example, you can select all the humanoid races, right? I think that would be a good idea. Then the gender is the same. The gender is specify or randomize. The name is the same, specify or randomize. Now, it will be nice if the randomization of the name is using our race randomizer, so that the names are already randomized by race, right? But okay, that's kind of a nuance, I would say. Then what we want to randomize, the traits for sure. So today is only the face, but in the future it will be, I mean, today is the face and the hair actually, but and the eye color, but and the beard. Okay. So it's a bit more than that. But so it's the face, the hair, the eye, and the beard today. But in the future could be the height, you know, or the muscles on the muscular sides, you know, of the whatever. So at the moment we will randomize in a very limited amount of things, but in the future we may randomize way more. But it will already be nice, no, to see different NPCs showing up. Then equipment, the same, is specify or randomize. What did I have? Did I have the example yesterday of the mandolin thingy? No? Ah yes, mandolin, here it is. Right hand, item mandolin, right? This human is superseded. This human is superseded by race within 1, 4, 13, whatever. So you give him a set. You give him a set of races that he can randomize from, okay? Or you give him only one race. Okay. Yes, the location is relative to the starting of the event. Okay, so let me just save this. So the equipment is specify or randomize. I mean the equipment meaning what he has in his hands, but also the armor, you know, the clothes. I mean everything we can randomize. Right? Okay. What else we can? What else we can randomize? What else we can? The race, the gender, the name, the trace, the equipment. I mean, in theory, the spells, but I don't think I want. I mean, NPC by default can cast any spell, so I mean, there is no limit. But I think anyway for special fighting events, I don't know if this will be enough. So I think that because, for example, let's say that you want to give a specific ability, you know, I think it would be nice to randomize the abilities or randomize the abilities, huh? Randomize the ability would be nice to have, but I don't know if we can. But basically, you know, these things, okay, these things will be inside a spawn NPC tag, and the spawn NPC tag will be an operation, I think. No? I'm trying to understand how the new things will fit into the existing framework, you know, because that's very, very important. That's very important. That's very important, but because, for example, the ability to play a sound is not an operation, huh? Is inside a progression script. Don't we have progression script? Don't we have as far as so we need to distinguish what is a behavior, what is an operation, and what is part of a script. I mean, an operation is also part of a script, but it is part of a different type of script. Because, for example, inside a script, I'm pretty sure that we have already the ability to, for example, send a message, you see? So this is the message that you can send to the player, and there is also the ability to speak, right? So our NPC can, I don't know exactly where, but for example, FX, you see this one, FX, source, actor, target, blah blah blah, right? So this one is the is already a script, but is inside a progression script. And I don't think you can use this directly into an operation. I think you need to say in your operation that you want to call this script, and then this is executed. I don't know, but I think I don't remember, but I don't think you can use these things. The problem is that those are not documented in a kind of a good way, you know. We don't. I mean, the only documentation of those is inside a code, or we have a place. I think we had a document that was explaining all these scripts, but I think was actually a PDF created by the guy. No, that was for the visual effects. That was for the visual effects. I need to see if David is online. He's not online. Do you remember if we have anywhere a description of the tags you can use in progression events? Example, FX, message, apart from the code. Because okay, I can find all of that in the code, obviously. I mean, I can go, and it's not even too hard, because it's if I go in progression scripts, you know, if I go in progression or if I go in scripting, the problem is that there is a bit of a mix here, because I have the like FX is a FX operation. But yes, it's basically this list anyway. Yeah? It's basically this list. FX OP. But FX OP is not described here, right? FX, you see, FX is not, because it's not part of a behavior. Ah, it's here. Ah, we have it. I found it. Okay, I can delete the question. It's actually so these are all the operations inside the progression events that are already documented on the wiki, which is nice. Action OP, cancel OP, destroy OP. Action OP. This is for action locations, okay. This for action location, destroy OP. I'm just trying to see if where there is a to-do means that it's just to be documented. Yeah, because this thing exists. So to do, it just means to document, but they are existing. They are actually existing in the code. All of this is existing in the code. The only thing that I don't like is that for example, to have my NPC say something, I need to launch a separate progression script, and that is a bit annoying, because like teleport I may need, you know, trade change I don't know, but there are already quite a number anyway, huh? So anyway, the effect is FXOP, so this one is able to send an effect. I don't know if we have the same for the sound, because this one is sending I think FX is sending yeah, it's a visual effect. There is a visual effect, it's a particle basically. It is basically a particle. By the way, this part of the code still needs to be done. Well, I have it here. I don't have it if attached, but because I think if attached it needs a socket. Okay. Anyway, I was just trying to understand better and check better this thing, but yeah. So our problem is that we need a way to, for example, for the so I need to decide if this is part of behaviors or is part of progression scripts. I don't know if I want to decide it now. I don't think I can decide it now, but it's a decision to take, you know. So okay, like invulnerable, busy are pretty simple to think about because it's something that is directly related to the NPC, and so these are behaviors. These are operation inside behaviors. That's pretty easy. But for example, to say something, right? To say something. Today we have message, but message is not exactly saying where we have an action OP. No, but action OP we said is for action locations. So how can I have the NPC speak in a behavior? But we did this already because our guards are saying stuff. So our guards, I'm sure our guards are speaking. I'm sure there is. If I search event script like long, no, long range. I don't remember what is the name of the thing. Range. No, range is not this. No, we place it. No, we do it a completely different way. We do it in. No, but for example, we have the ZZZ. No, when the NPC are sleeping. When the NPC are sleeping, I'm sure we have it. I'm sure we have it. When the NPC are sleeping. NPC definitions. NPC types. I always confuse these two. I don't know why, but I always confuse them. Always. Right? Where script like ZZZ. Walls of text, boys. I need to read walls of text. Talk. You see, there is a talk operation. Okay. Which hopefully is also documented, but I guess so. I just missed it. I think I just missed it. Yes, talk operation. Okay. Yeah, so we can do that already. So I just need to be sure that I don't redo something that we already have, okay? So that's pretty important. But you see that we can generate already a talk inside a behavior. So we can also have a command. Okay, whatever. So that is all done. That is already done. That is already done. Easy, easy, easy. So we can have a hello Hula. Hey. So let's move on a second, okay? So let's try to move on because I'm a bit stuck now on that discussion. So we want to be able to randomize a new NPC. So we want to have a spawn NPC like we described it kind of here, you know. So like with a spawn location, what he has in the hand, the race, and whatever, right? And its equipment. And we can say if it's randomized or not. Okay, easy. Now, easy I don't know, but we will do it. Now, how does the thing continue, right? We said a merchant and a customer in the road debating a price of a locked chest. If the player gets into a discussion, the customer may start to threaten the player. Upon finding him, the player can resolve the situation by unlocking a chest and giving the enemy inside. Okay, so why I wanted to do this example? I want to do this example because in this case, there are two NPC that are interacting between each other, right? And this is something that we don't have at the moment in the game. And I'm thinking if I need it or if I can fake it, you know, because again with this sequence we faked it already. We faked it with time, you know, so one is saying something, the other is saying something at a predefined timing, and so it looks like they are speaking, right? It looks like they are speaking, but do we need more? Because I can put this in a quest, you know. I can put this. I can create a quest script which I put in one of the NPC, and then another quest script I put in the other NPC, in which we have the chest. I mean, which they know about this chest. The point is that this chest needs to be an item in our item stats table, which is a bit of a mess. Yeah, here we start to hit a bit of the core of the problem, okay? The core of the problem. The core of the problem is that if I want to generate a quest script which is involving items, at the moment our quest system is working on pre-existing items. So for example, this idea of a locked chest with an item inside is something that we cannot do today. And one way to do it will be to put, I mean, to create this chest up front and put it somewhere, which would be the easiest. But if we really want the auto-generated random event system to actually do that, I think I don't know how to do it, because we go in the realm of creating item on the fly and allowing our scripting system to, our quest system to detect that that item exists, right? So this is tough, huh? This part is tough. It's very tough. I mean, about the fight, I don't know if in the quest system we have a way to trigger a fight, you know, so that the end of the, I don't think we do. I don't think we do. Do we have the description of the quest syntax here, or I have to go another place? Quest script operations. I don't think we have this capability, but I think we will need this capability. So we need the ability for one NPC at a certain point of the quest to go aggressive. This, I think, is a major lack in our, I mean, that we absolutely need. So we need to allow the NPC to change his brain. But I think we can change the brain. I remember there was a change brain OP. Yeah, change brain operation. Yeah, we have it already. Wow, our scripting system is insane, boys. We have everything already. We have everything already. Well, not everything, but we have a good stuff. We have good stuff. So the change brain we can. So we can allow, if we want to turn, if we want to allow the PC to start fighting, right? So this can be done with change brain OP operation. A change brain operation. Now the question is, can I call this from a quest? I don't think I can today. Can I execute? Can I execute? I can run a script, but running a script, I think it's running only a math script. This question I need to ask to our guys because I'm not sure. Do you know if we can today turn an NPC aggressive within from a quest? What I imagine is a generated generated event where the ending can be the NPC fight the player or not. And for this I need to call the change brain OP. From the quest system. Yeah, so I think the only thing we need to check here is so we need to check if we can call the change brain OP from the quest system, the quest scripts. Okay, if we can call it from the quest scripts, I think we are good. If we cannot, it is something that I need to do. Okay, it is something I need to add, because I think that the ending can be, you know, that the NPC is then turning on the players and is fighting to death. Or not. Now, let's assume that they start to fight. Let's assume they start to fight and one of the two dies. So, or the player or the NPC is dying. Then how the hell do we detect the end of the combat? Because the end of the combat is, or we do it in our detector NPC, which is the only one that is super partes, you know, so which is outside of the scene. I mean, he's in the scene, but he's not an active participant, right? So the problem is that if the NPC is getting attacked, then the player will follow him, and the detector needs to follow the NPC, otherwise he will never see what is happening. Unless I don't know, this is really a mess. I mean, trying to understand the result of a fight. I mean, if the quest finish with the fight, I think we can do it like this, you know, we can do it with the change operation, the change brain, we make the NPC aggressive, he fights the player, he dies, end of the quest, end of everything, okay? Easy. But how do we detect that he's dead? We need to set a kind of a infinite timer which is checking, or we need to have a new event on death. I don't know, this thing I need to think about it, but I need to think about it. Do we want to detect the completion of the fight, like the player dying or the NPC dying? This is not easy, For us, it's not easy, because fighting is a completely different module or section of the engine, you know, the code. So it goes by itself, and it's not linked. It's not linked to the quest system in any way. Unless in the script I place a kind of a hook, you know, that says if the fight ends, then. But then where do I place it? I place it on the NPC when he's dead. So every time an NPC dies, he needs to check if there is an active script on him to complete the event. That's a big question. That's a big question. Okay, boys, I think unfortunately I have to go because it starts to be a bit late. I know I started a bit late, so we didn't do too much, but I think we actually did a good progress, meaning that we tried with a complex case which includes some interaction, some distance, some randomization, some stuff, you know, to see what are the things that are required, which in this case are these things, which things are required to actually execute the quest, execute the thing. So I think that now the next step for me is to review these two charts, okay? So this chart and this other chart, and then identify all the things to do, which are already in this column, so are not too complex, but are all in this column, and start to rationalize if we have them already, or if they have to be remade, or if they have to be added. And I think that many of these have to be done because we don't have. Yeah, so I have to take a to-do list and make it, and then we can start to. But first, before starting to do any code, I want to rationalize this list in my mind and also discuss it a bit with the other people that are using the scripting system, because maybe they can have, you know, they can have some ideas. Okay? Okay. Makes sense. Okay. I think I will go. Please, if you are new to the stream, would be very appreciated if you can click on follow on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube, so the next time we will see each other again. And also if you can check our Patreon site, which is patreon.com/planeshift, where we have some videos and some new stuff. Actually, I posted a new video today where I was explaining a bit the ideas. This one, random auto-generated events. I posted it this evening at 10 p.m. before starting the stream. And yeah, if you are interested, you can support us this way, right? Okay, so goodbye guys, bye bye, see you next time, probably tomorrow evening, most likely tomorrow evening. See ya, have fun. What is that? We want our music to finish. We want our music.